a minute. Thanks for joining us. And it looks like we've got Warner Thomas, our president and CEO here, and we have Mike Hulefeld, our chief operating officer. So I think, and we'll grant permission to record. Before we start, we hope all of y'all had a safe night and continue to do so this morning. Obviously, due to some cell issues, we really would like to request from the PR team that you please send all requests to pr@ochsner.org. That is the fastest way. We have a team triaging that inbox. So we want to be great partners to you and give you information when we can. So please, if we could ask you to please send all media requests to that inbox so we can get back to you in a timely fashion. That is definitely the best way to go over phone calls or texts right now. So with that, Warner, let's get started.
Good morning, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. As Nicole mentioned, I got Mike Hulefeld, our Chief Operating Officer. I don't know if Robert Hart, our Chief Medical Officer, is going to join or not. He's got his hands full working on a lot of different things. So we just, in the spirit of transparency, want to keep an open dialogue with you guys about what's happening in our system. You know, certainly Hurricane Ida was a pretty rough ride yesterday. The sustained winds for a much longer period of time than I think folks anticipated did create, significant damage across our system as it did across the entire region. As we mentioned last night, we did go to our backup emergency power preemptively before we lost power at our facilities. We continue to run on emergency power at all of our facilities today. We, as we mentioned yesterday morning, Mike and the team went forward and we did evacuate our St. Charles Parish Hospital facility yesterday. This morning, after continued assessments overnight, we have decided to evacuate our St. Anne's facility in Raceland, Louisiana, and also our Chabert Medical Center in Houma, Louisiana. Mike, correct me if I'm wrong. I think actually St. Anne's may be pretty much evacuated and completed now. Is that correct?
That's right, nearing completion right now.
And we're in the process of evacuating Chabert Medical Center as well. So that is in process. We've got several ground ambulances there and teams that are working on that. So, Mike, just confirm the number of patients between Chabert and St. Anne's, about 70?
Yeah, 65 patients between the two facilities. We will be transferring them to multiple locations to include our St. Mary's facility in Morgan City, our Baton Rouge facility, our New Orleans facility, even our St. Bernard Parish Hospital. So really using all of our assets in order to manage these evacuations.
Jefferson Highway Ochsner Medical Center. We had roof issues in Kenner. We have roof issues at our West Campus on Jefferson Highway, which is our rehab and skilled nursing facility. I would say that probably every facility we have, had some sort of roof issue, and we had water intrusion. I mean, they were of different magnitudes. So we have teams of roofers that are on their way here now. We'll have temporary roofing put in place during the day today. We did have some backup generator issues at Kenner overnight, which were resolved, and so that is now in good shape. And once again, all the city water is down, so we're operating our facilities. Kenner, Ochsner Medical Center, Baptist, West Bank are running off of the wells that we have drilled at those facilities. So we have running water that's provided by our own source, given the city and parish water systems are down. We have also made the decision, given the damage and the lack of power and water in St. Charles Parish, to evacuate our behavioral health facility there, River Place. So that is that'll be underway later today. We're working on where to place those patients. We also did receive a call from Terrebonne General Medical Center in Houma, and we've been asked to help them evacuate their facility. There's about 100 patients to that facility, so we are now in the process of communicating with them as well as the state to evacuate the patients out of Terrebonne General Medical Center. So that will that'll be part of our big work that we do today. We're continuing to go and assess all facilities around the region. We're assessing staff needs across the region, and we'll continue to have updates. We literally just got off, Mike and his team got off a call of about an hour, kind of going through that, and it's a fluid situation. But our facilities are up and running, no patients injured, no employees injured. And we know ERs are going to start getting busier as patients come in, in a post-storm environment, and we're prepared to handle that. Mike, I'm sure you got a lot of other updates, and maybe I'll stop there. See if you've got other thoughts.
Yeah, our facilities in Baton Rouge are in relatively good shape. Our facilities in Lafayette are in good shape, and obviously Shreveport and Lake Charles were affected. And so, as Warner mentioned, there will be a lot of patient moves that we'll be coordinating over the next 24 and 48 hours, and we will be relying on our full statewide network as well as our partners in behavioral health and long-term care, and really all of our services. So it's a big effort. As Warner mentioned, all of our teams are touching base multiple times, and as we work to coordinate all these efforts. But it's in process, and as Warner mentioned, first and foremost, people are safe, and that's where our focus is. So there is a lot of prioritization based on clinical need and criticality of the patients in terms of who we transfer first. And so that's the process we're working through with our physician leadership now.
So Nicole, maybe what makes sense, just confirming 65 patients between the two facilities in the Bayou, St. Anne's, and Chabert. As I said, about 100 patients that we anticipate, roughly 100 patients out of Terrebonne, which we're working on. We do have water trucks that have been staged in Lafayette. They're on their way to our various facilities where we need to get water, especially in the Bayou region. We actually have we're sending water trucks to Terrebonne General. We don't own Terrebonne General or run it, but they're one of our partner facilities. We're doing everything we can to help them as well. So that is underway. So Nicole, may I just stop there? We'll just jump into questions, try to do everything we can to answer that to the best of our ability.
Absolutely. So the first one, in terms of patients coming to your facilities today, are you hearing about any specific kinds of injuries or people searching for any similar types of treatment because of the hurricane?
I think it's a little early to tell. I mean, frankly, Mike, I don't know if you've gotten any updates, but I mean, we anticipate there'll be the typical hurricane injuries of, people falling off roofs, ladders, or, chainsaw accidents, that sort of thing. We know there's probably some conditions that folks could not get out yesterday and may come in today, but Mike, do you have any more details on that?
You're right, Warner. Some of the initial patients we're seeing are orthopedic trauma related, hip fractures and orthopedic fractures. And so we're certainly starting to see that.
Okay.
So question about the total number of patients evacuated. So it'd be about 65 out of our facilities in the Bayou, and then about another 100 at Terrebonne. So a total of about 165. The number at Terrebonne is, that's based on the information we have. It's a fluid situation. Speaking to their CEO, Phyllis Peoples, they have had significant roof damage, water intrusion into the facility. And my understanding is, as far as water and or HVAC cooling, they've got issues there. That's why they are working to evacuate the patients. Folks are safe. We're all working together on this, very orderly fashion, but certainly we'll need to get the patients out of there today and get them to a different environment. So.
All right. Warner, another question that came in from NPR. We had a major transmission tower fall into the river, which could result in weeks of power outages, and hospitals are on 10 days of generator power without refuel. What's the plan?
Yeah, it's not without refuel. We got more fuel trucks coming. I just said we have 10 days of fuel on site. So we have constant refuel situations. So more fuel's on its way, water's on its way. So these are things we plan for. When I indicated the 10 days, it's really just our initial supply, but we can run ongoing on generator power. And like I said, fuel trucks will probably be here today or tomorrow. So we're not concerned about that. We understand that we got major power failures into New Orleans. We are, thinking through that as far as, staffing and other types of support activities. But as I said, as far as our supplies and food and medical supplies and drugs and fuel, we'll get trucks in here, so we'll be fine.
So another question that came in: what are the biggest challenges ahead in the coming days? Power, water. How long can your system run on backup power? It's a similar question, but if you want to add some more context.
Yeah, I would just say, I think the biggest challenges in the coming days is around our people. We're going to have lots of people, hundreds or thousands of people that have damage to their homes, can't be in their homes, have various degrees of issues there. So we're working on identifying housing for our employees, hotels and we did this post-Katrina. We identified hotels. We put our employees in hotels. But New Orleans, there's no power or water. So putting them in hotels in New Orleans isn't going to work. We've got to identify other opportunities, and that is ongoing. And then we continue to think about every way that we can take care of just the other personal needs and support our employees. We already are working on getting in significant amounts of supplies around toiletries, around, personal items, because we know our employees are going to need these for themselves and their family. We'll run essentially, our own mini mart of these types of items so folks can come and take them. We're not selling them, we're giving them away, but people come and get these items for themselves and their families. So there's just, looking to provide tarps and plywood and things that people are going to need in order to continue to live. And then we have an employee assistance fund that we will put dollars in that people can apply for and have dollars to kind of help them bridge the gap here. So the big issue, obviously we got facilities and all those types of things. We're very focused on that, but at the same time, really focus on the needs of our employees and how we're going to help them address the challenges they have.
Okay, lots of questions coming in. Did I hear correctly? You're evacuating some patients to New Orleans?
Yes. Go ahead, Mike.
Yes. As we evacuate across the Bayou region, we're using all campuses and capability within our system. As Warner mentioned, our facilities in New Orleans are capable on power, backup power with water. And we're also evacuating to Lafayette, likely to Shreveport, to Lake Charles. And so this will be a statewide response to include New Orleans.
And I do see some questions again coming in on like heat injury cases and other things because of power being out and people working on homes like Warner mentioned. We, after this media briefing, we have a lot of content on safety tips around generators and working in your home. So we'll make sure as soon as this briefing is over, we'll send you a recording and some of that information for your readers and viewers so they have some of those health and safety tips. Next question, how is bed capacity? Are you struggling to treat trauma patients due to COVID-19 patients?
I think we're okay on bed capacity now, Mike. Maybe you can comment on that, but it's not like we've seen a huge influx in our ERs at this point, but do you have any thoughts on that?
No, that's exactly right. The large majority of the population is left. When they come back, that could pose a different set of challenges, but for now, we're fine.
Okay. Have we been receiving requests from coastal hospitals in Mississippi that might be over capacity and might need to move patients due to Ida?
No, we've actually had folks reaching out saying they have capacity and if we need to send patients to them. Our partners at Singing River Health System have reached out to us. Partners at Infirmary Health in Mobile have reached out to us. So, look, we all help each other when we go through these situations. Not sure whether we'll need to send them patients or not at this point, but we are monitoring that, and they've actually reached out to help us, not to send us patients.
And our hospital in Hancock County is on city power and is ready to receive patients as well. So those facilities along the coast of Mississippi are in good shape.
Good. Okay. Before the storm, we've been hearing that New Orleans EMS ambulances were experiencing delays transferring patients to hospitals because of a lack of bed space. What limitations do NOLA area Ochsner campuses anticipate in accepting new patients via ambulance?
Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, I think it's too early to tell at this point. We're holding a lot of patients right now that we can't yet discharge because people can't go to their homes yet. Some of our post-acute facilities aren't fully ramped up. And so I think this situation will right size over the course of the next couple of weeks as some of the patients we can send home or to other locations for care we're able to do, and then as the population returns. So it'll be tight. It's been tight throughout COVID, as we know. We have adequate physical space, but as Warner mentioned, it's all about our people and having adequate staff to serve our patients. But as we have throughout this process, we will manage it day to day.
So Mike, I know you mentioned staff, and Warner, you have as well. Another question has come in wanting to hear a little bit more about our staff. How are they doing? They've been in disaster mode for more than a year, and now another layer of disaster to deal with.
Yeah, I think it's a challenging situation, right? I mean, folks have been going through COVID for a year and a half now. This fourth surge we went through was the most difficult one that we've experienced since COVID started in March 2020. And now we have a major hurricane that, ends up being probably a little worse than we anticipated going into it. We knew it was going to be a challenge and pretty tough, but given it took so long to pass through, created a lot more wind damage and a lot more roof intrusions and water issues. So yeah, I think staff are challenged, but that's why we're communicating. I mean, we're communicating with you guys quite a bit. We're communicating with them even more and being very transparent with them, doing everything we can to help our team members and all of our staff. So, we'll continue to support them. But yeah, I think it's definitely a challenging time. Our Team B people are out of town, so they're getting rested up. And as soon as we can get Team B in, we'll release our Team A folks and have our Team B people come in. So that's why we organize our structure this way, that we'll be able to bring in folks that are fresh and ready to go and have not gone through the storm, here at our facility. So that's part of our whole planning that's very organized, and we just don't know exactly when we're going to be able to get them in, but as soon as we can, we'll release some of our Team A folks and bring in Team B. But yeah, I think it's definitely a challenging time, and we know that we're in for, several days, maybe a couple of weeks of this situation, but you have to kind of go into it with the right mental attitude, and we're positive, we're taking care of lots of folks. I saw the question about, does this impact how we care for patients or quality? No. I mean, I think, Mike, we did what? Couple transplants on Sunday, going into Monday. We did, or maybe on Saturday going into Sunday, we did, several surgeries yesterday that were emergent. We'll do surgeries today that are emergent. So this is what folks do. We're here to take care of people, and we'll just stay at it. Mike, I don't know if you got thoughts from your perspective.
I think, as we rounded on our staff over the past couple of days, they approach this with optimism, and they know their roles and they know what they're here to do. And so I think people have stepped up. Now, as Warner said, it's going to be a long process. And so people will get tired, and they have been challenged by COVID. But we had 100% of our staff show up for Team A when we called essential personnel, and that speaks to the commitment that our people have. So our job is to support them and to put them in positions where they can be successful, and that's what we're working to do.
Yeah, a question about what's the evacuation like. We weren't there. We know it went orderly. Working with Acadian Ambulance, who's been a great partner with us on transporting patients. not sure what the journeys were like. So when the patients get here, we'll get more feedback. But everything we hear about is it's gone pretty smooth. Water intrusion, we're talking about water coming through the roofs, running down walls, coming through windows, given the sustained wind. We had a few windows blow in. We had a few, on the top of elevator shafts or the top of stairwells where you have ventilation covers in the tops of those blew off in the storm. So it's not like we had catastrophic roof failures. But certainly we had a lot of water get into, several different areas. And depending upon if it got into the mechanicals and whatnot, which was some of the situation, I believe, at Chabert, right, Mike? And that's, we got some of the water in the mechanicals, and that's why we're evacuating the facility until we can make sure we got everything tuned up and ready to go again. But once again, we're going to keep running the ERs at both St. Anne's and Chabert so we can be there to take care of emergencies as people are coming back into the region. So
we'll also continue to run emergency services at St. Charles, which we evacuated a couple of days ago, as previously mentioned. And just so, again, folks are aware, we already have roof contractors on site right now working to mitigate the situation and prevent additional challenges going forward. So they're already here.
Part of our whole disaster planning, just so everybody knows, is not just going into the storm, it's how we come out of it. So water trucks were staged at various places. Fuel and generators were staged at various places outside of harm's way. We have electricians and, various, contractors on location and on standby, ready to go. So this is all part of our planning going into the storm. Is what are we going to need coming out of the storm? And so if we end up not needing those folks because it's not as bad, that's great. They go home. If we need them, they're here, and it's Mike indicated, they're here working, and that's part of our whole storm recovery process.
Okay. Warner, we did receive a question about, we can circle back on this. I'm not sure if I have an update, but with limited communication methods, is there a plan to keep families of patients that are currently in your facilities updated?
Well, part of, we're always rounding. We're always talking to our leaders. They're communicating with patients and patient families. We have an employee call today sometime. I'm not exactly sure of the time. We have a leader call today. We had a leader call last night about 9 o'clock, update all of our leaders. We'll have another leader call this morning, and then we'll have an all-employee call later on today. So we're constantly communicating, and then we look to our leaders and each of our campuses and each of our departments to be communicating with their team and their employees. So or their team and their patients. So this is an ongoing process that we try to stay on top of. But once again, the situation's fluid. 2 hours from now, we're going to know more than we know right now, and that's why we try to keep the frequency of that communication up. So Nicole, I saw the question about 911 services. We can't comment on that because we don't have line of sight into exactly New Orleans EMS and 911. So I can tell you ambulances are showing up at our hospitals. We're taking care of folks, but I can't really comment on the stability of that service or the time. You'd have to talk to the city and the parishes about that.
Okay. We are at 10:55. I think we've made it through most of the questions in the chat. I do want to reiterate with what both Warner and Mike said, is that Terrebonne General is our partner facility. So that's why we work closely with them. So just want to reiterate that they are a partner facility that we're working to help.
Yeah, we don't own them, we don't run them, but they're a partner we work with. And so we did get a phone call this morning from them asking for help to evacuate patients. And so we have now deployed our teams, our transfer center, ambulances. We're in full mode to help them get evacuated as quickly as possible.
And Warner, I'm getting some questions via direct message. So a few more have just popped in. Do you plan to transfer any of your cancer patients to other facilities to continue treatment or procedures, or will those patients remain and treated as planned?
Mike, go ahead.
Current plans is to treat patients where they are. Again, with the capabilities that we have, all our pharmacies are functioning, and so there's, at this point, we don't see a reason to transfer cancer patients.
Yeah.
Okay.
Go ahead.
You
Go
see
ahead,
that one,
Nicole.
Warner,
Sorry.
that just popped in?
Go ahead.
I know we touched on this a little bit in the beginning, but again, WWL asking, understanding the weather was tough on most buildings, any infrastructure issues leaving the hospitals any more vulnerable?
I mean, just the ones we talked about with St. Anne's and Shawbear that we're evacuating, and then, our River Place facility in St. Charles. I think as far as others, once again, we're on backup generation power, we're fixing roofs. We got a lot of leaks to fix. We got a lot of water to clean up. We got a lot of roof, the ceiling tiles and things like that. So we got a lot of work to do from that perspective. But as far as, can we take care of folks? Are folks safe? Can we operate effectively? Yeah, we can do all those things. It's really just cleanup that we've got to work through, and that'll take several days. And as we said, roofers are here. We'll get the roofs secured quickly. Glad that it's not raining today. That helps. So we can get out there and get that work done. So we'll keep you up to date as we have more information on that.
So I would say two related questions, and maybe we can just clarify. One, again, Mike, do you mind giving the numbers on the transfers for St. Anne and Shawbear, and any info on where they went? And then the second kind of parallel question to that, are all patients being transferred to other Louisiana hospitals, or are they going to any other states?
Yeah, the number of patients that were transferred from St. Anne and from Shawbear was about 65. Depending on the service needed, they went to multiple hospitals. Some went to Lafayette, some went to Morgan City, some went to St. Bernard, some went to Ochsner Medical Center in New Orleans. And so, as mentioned before, we're using all assets at our disposal to care for patients across the state. We have not had to transfer any patients outside of the state yet, but as mentioned before, we have had offers to help from hospitals along the Gulf Coast in Mississippi, which we greatly appreciate, and we might well get to that point.
I'd also say, I know there's questions about exact numbers that went to which facilities. I would say it's a fluid situation. When we have it finalized, we'll let you know. But this is, and once again, we don't have the exact destination today, like right this minute. We'll have it later today on where the patients at Terrebonne General are going. We're working on that immediately. Basically as we talk, there's teams working on that. So we get more information, we can let you know.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so we're at 10:59. Any last questions? We could take one or two more. Okay. We appreciate you joining. As I said, we'll send out the recording of the briefing along with some safety resources for your viewers, your readers, to make sure they have that as they're working on their homes. And we will work to schedule another briefing as soon as we can and have more information to share with you. Okay.
Thanks, everybody.
Thank you.
Take care.